Hi everybody, thanks for joining me. I'm Jamie Spence and this is the Private Listed Podcast. The genesis of this podcast is my 35 years of financial services, corporate advisory and board experience around Asia Pacific and beyond. I've interviewed many people in my life in sales roles. I've orchestrated mergers and acquisitions and I've sat on boards. But I filled up a number of passports. I'm a bit tired of travelling, but I thought to myself, how can I give back to people, particularly the baby boomer generation that wants to transition or sell their businesses? I'm going to conduct interviews in the future with senior executives from across the globe. My expertise is mostly Asia Pacific, but I've done stuff in the US and Europe and the UK as well. I'll just give you a brief history for myself. I started as a telex operator sending telexes late at night one day for a few months. I transitioned myself to picking up phone calls and talking to clients in a futures broking operation. I then went down to the trading floor where I talked to clients over what then was a bat phone. It was an open outcry market. I learned a lot from looking into the whites of people's eyes, and we had about 200 of us down there. We all got on well, but it was competitive. You needed to know when people were foxing or not telling the truth or how many cards they had in their hand. Very exciting time. I spent a few years down there, and then I moved upstairs to a futures broking desk with a couple of great institutions. One was called Macquarie Bank at the time, and took calls from clients and learnt a lot more of the business. I transitioned then to Bankers Trust Australia, another fantastic global organisation at the time, and ran futures business, talking to clients all over the world, hedge funds, institutional clients, private clients, all sorts of things across the world. I then did that in Australia and then interface with the rest of the world, Chicago, London, New York. And then I did that in Japan, which was an online market. I went and did that in Japan for about 12 months. I then segued into foreign exchange, fixed income debt and derivatives, and finally I went and did structured finance in Australia and Asia Pacific. The whole time I was talking to clients. I was meeting clients. I was trying to present a practical, honest proposition, and we wanted people to trade with us, and that was good. But I met a lot of people around the world, and I learned a lot of ways of doing business with people. I then, in about 2009, decided to go out on my own and start to orchestrate mergers and acquisitions, raise capital for companies. Easier said than done. I just left a whole lot of infrastructure behind, and the only tool that I had was myself and a colleague that was extremely helpful to me for most of the rest of my time, whilst I was living in Asia. In Hong Kong for almost 20 years. I travelled to every Asian country many times, and some of them hundreds of times. But I learnt a lot because in the 2 years after I transitioned, it's hard to do a deal. You've got a network. People will take your call. They'll answer you. We all change jobs. We all transition and we all have anxieties. Even when I was transitioning into those different roles in financial services, there's always anxiety because you don't know the product until you do it. I was fortunate. I had fantastic teams around me in the financial services times, and in fact, in the end, I led some award-winning teams in Asia, which I'm very proud of. But the transition to orchestrating mergers and acquisitions and connecting with people it's a different world. You talk to them, but until you've done a transaction, you're sort of not real. You learn a lot, but the meter's ticking, and you think, when's this going to work? Anyway, after about 2 years, I was fortunate enough that I had a nice person. I will redact the names of people that I've dealt with or companies that I've orchestrated successful mergers and acquisitions with, and those that I haven't done it with, but the scenario remains the same. I was fortunate enough to get a terrific opportunity to have a family office acquire a food manufacturing and export business that I was familiar with, and the person behind it was a really nice, let's call them a baby boomer business, but that person ended up his business ended up being acquired, and he ended up going on to run 15 or 20 FMCG businesses across Asia in the future. And I was very proud of that transaction. And when you get a first win in a new role, it not only makes you feel good, but it gives you credibility, because the next conversation you have in your new job role, you can say, this is what I did. And I was saying this I'll mention this in a few forward-looking podcasts, but when you're talking to someone that's giving you advice, you've got to ask them what they actually did, because everyone runs around saying, I've done this. Ask them what they've actually done and get them to validate and verify it a bit more. Anyway, later on, I'm going to interview corporate, financial and professional services leaders, and they can give their insights into what makes successful deals happen. As I said, I'm a corporate advisor now to private and listed companies, predominantly around Australia and Asia, still some in Europe. I've got built up a terrific network of close friends, and hopefully some of them will come on the podcast and talk to you. The ensuing episodes will deliver specific examples and things like that. But thanks for listening, and I'll go from here.